Okay, wait for it. It's connecting to YouTube. But starting live.
What do they call it when they get on stage and they start going through? That's the final
want to record it here just to make sure in case you lose your Wi-Fi, you got it recorded. Okay, so now it says it's live. We come back here. We wait a couple seconds for it to actually approve. Right click on that video.
Okay. And the other RTs running around the room.
Copy video URL.
Ah, thank
So right after, we got to make sure we put that reference so that the next person uses that.
I think we had the same effectiveness from the.
Thanks, Anthony.
You bet. We had two
Yeah, thanks,
studio
Anthony.
cams, and two camera operators and two microphones, so we can get the next team staged and ready while this one's still going. But I'd still like to understand more about how the dialogue progressed. You know, because I think the transition we were very tight on, but you know, the presentation piece, you know, maybe that's where we need to still hone in on.
There's something different though, and I'm not sure if it's one thing or several things, but there's I don't want to say participation, but everybody's focused on what's happening. In ours, and it could be the venue, it could be something else, but I appreciate that at the Utah event. Anyway, there's a lot of attention. Sorry, guys.
Ready?
Ready?
Okay, so good morning. Welcome to our lightning talk. Before we get started, there are muffins that we got. They're sitting right there. So please go and have. We thought going
You're our
healthy a
favorites
little
already.
bit. Yes. So Shashank and I, both of us attended this IoT AI Blockchain Conference 2 weeks ago in Santa Clara. And besides the amazing conference, we love to eat the Indian food out there. In case anyone didn't know that, oh my God, what amazing food. But so let's kick off on the expo. So I'll just start off with this amazing slide. You see a lot of buzzwords, and that's exactly what we saw when we attended the starting keynote panel. Everyone's just talking about these buzzwords. But eventually, after the first and the second keynote panel, what actually came across and very significant, and I think I've put it on the top, is end user, right? You never hear that word in the IoT world because everyone's trying to build a platform, a device, network, and all that stuff, but no one talks about end user. And we'll go why that is so important and so much that people need to. And every buzzword that you see here is going to be spoken about in the forthcoming slides, okay? So, moving forward.
Okay, so before we move ahead and talk about all the things more in depth, we'll see, we have two small videos which enterprises are using IoT platform, IoT AI platform, and even blockchain, and solving the real world problem. So this is from Oracle. So let's see what it is doing.
And look at it carefully because we are going to ask questions.
Yes, yes. Okay, it looked like a boring video, the truck moving, but did you guys notice something in there?
Something very specific. Do you want to play one more time?
I did not.
It's okay.
Give us a hint. Where should we be looking?
At the tracks. Look at the tracks. We'll play one more time. Say that again?
So,
Changing the lanes.
Ah, yes.
So-
So you got it.
basically, the truck was
You
in
get
one
free
single lane. So the technology, the lane departure technology, already exists today in all the cars, most of the cars, right? So, but how are they doing it is they have the camera in the front, in the back, and they see the lanes and try to keep the car in the center of that lane. And if the paint, the link goes away, it's not, the accuracy goes low. So they're trying to solve the problem by installing sensors into the roads under each lane. So the truck, in this case, is talking to those sensors and using those sensors. It's connected to those sensors and trying to change the lane or be in the lane or change the lane. The one more thing which we did not capture in the video is actually there's a kind of a setup here where an inventory or item comes from here. The truck gets notified and the truck stops here and the inventory gets loaded into the truck and the truck moves away. That was amazing
Right,
because that is the future and that is the great example of IoT. So this is the next video we have. So there are 3 cars.
Wait for it. There we go. There we go.
No. They're talking to each other?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is he'll explain it.
So this is connected vehicles. This is amazing, and this is a great thing for automobile industry. So what are these doing? So these 2 cars in this case are trying to solve a problem. What is the problem? So they put it in a slope and they're trying to balance it. So there's a hub in here. So 2 cars are trying to connect to the hub, and the hub is actually communicating back to those 2 cars and saying, hey, this is the goal you need to achieve. And those guys are connecting to each other, and they are moving to balance that one out. So this is a huge thing in automobile industry. And if the self-driving cars on the road and 2 cars are communicating with each other, this is a live example which we saw, which was amazing.
There was one more that we didn't capture. It was called smart parking. So that was like they had sensors in parking lots, and if a parking lot was free or open, you can just use an app anywhere. Even if you're a few hours away, you can say, hey, please book this parking spot for me, and no one can enter that parking spot but you to get into. So literally you don't have to run around the whole thing to look for a parking spot. You can book it beforehand and say, this is my parking spot and I need it.
So it blocks the car from entering that
Yes,
spot?
it does.
Wow.
You're not allowed to enter the, and it was amazing. I think it was built by someone in Japan, and they had the demo out there that does it for us, and you had the app to see which were the open slots and which were filled in, and even if they were not filled in, they were blocked, so you can take that spot away. So it was really nice. So now you saw this amazing videos, and now we're going to come a little bit on what is IoT, right? Everyone says it's Internet of Things, but anyone has ever understood like really what is IoT? And for me, this was a big understanding that IoT is Internet of Things, yes, sure, but it's actually an ecosystem. It involves end-to-end. Literally, it has so many parts and segments in it, and that's the whole thing is IoT. It's not just Internet of Things, just not sending data across network and to your cloud. That's part of the Internet of Things. So the biggest thing I took away from what is IoT is it's an ecosystem where the industries are trying to solve a problem they think a user has. So here, very important. IoT ecosystems are being built to solve a problem that is faced by end users. It is just not because it's a new cool thing and everyone should start developing into it. Nope, you're trying to solve a problem, and they have statistics which proves that most of the companies are failing to do so. Literally 60% of the projects are failing because they don't know what they're trying to solve. You're just trying to provide a solution, but the user doesn't have an issue with that, and so end user is not accepting that solution. So that's what IoT is, and you're selling the solution as a service or product. Now, you can't see this clearly, and that's my bad, I should have increased it, but the IoT ecosystem is basically divided into vertical and horizontal segments. By vertical, it means mainly like industries. So you have automobile industries, you have oil and gas, you have, what are the other things? Transportation industry, I mean, that's automobile, but medical and stuff like that, right? So that's your vertical segments. And what your horizontal segments are the devices that are autonomous to all these industries. Like you can continuously keep using them. So for example, you have the platform, you have the devices, the network that we are building. So those are all horizontal segments. And another important takeaway from this one was you have loads of data. Statistics says we have 2 zettabytes of data. I don't even know how many zeros are in the zettabytes of data, but we only implement
Trillion gigabytes.
Okay, there we go. We only implement machine learning on 2% of that, and all that data is out there, but there is no intelligence applied to it. So even though you build that entire ecosystem, if you don't apply machine learning, deep learning, or neural network technologies on it, it is worthless.
Yep.
So that's the whole, there is a quote, I don't know who said that in one of the sessions, but it's like having data written in a language that's gibberish. So, going forward.
Okay, so actually they categorize IoT into two sections. One is consumer IoT, and one is a commercial or industrial IoT, which we have it in the next slides. What is consumer IoT? I think we are already doing this in all our innovation, in our projects, where we have a Raspberry Pi, Arduino, or other kits. Sensors are connected to that kit, or we use Alexa, Google Home, or whatever, and use the AWS cloud to notify into our mobile phones or something. So we are already doing this, which is a very good step. So the other reason, as Rima said, was they are using computing. No, you need. No, you need. Okay.
We need machine learning. Yeah.
Machine learning set was. They are using AWS or Oracle and other cloud services for doing this computation on the data to see what they need. And the other thing they said was, do not send every single data to cloud. So know your data first, only send that data which you need.
Okay, so like Shashank explained, he already mentioned about consumer, but the other big thing industries are focused on is enterprise IoT, or it's also called IoT, which is industrial IoT. So you can basically choose the names from it. And so what they are trying to focus on, all the companies in the industry are saying that yes, we need large scale, low power networks, but at the same time, we also need devices that are flexible or autonomous to every single any single industry that is applied to. And biggest thing is it has to be secure. Privacy, oh my God, they could not stress enough on that, privacy and security. And it has to be cost effective, because end user right now has so many gadgets and they don't want to pay more and more money for this thing. So it has to be a cost effective solution. So that's enterprise IoT. And one thing in enterprise IoT, which was a big thing, and we literally saw, I wish I could put the video here, but I will eventually. So they are utilizing, and it's a big thing called mesh networks. So what mesh network is, it's basically a scalable, this is a decentralized over-the-air network, which basically is like, I don't know how many of you guys understand, but for example, if you take a cell tower, each cell tower is like, it can accept incoming signal, and it can also behave in such a way that it itself is like a router, and it can send outgoing signals. So it becomes decentralized. So they do two functions at the same time, that of a modem and then of a router. And so by deploying this, what Wirepass, one of the companies that is heavily using mesh networks, what they did is, in one of the places in Netherlands, I forgot the city, they had 700,000 electricity meters that were deployed all over, and they didn't use any wires, they didn't use any optical fibers, nothing. Each of these electric meters were basically as your incoming point, and they were able to generate signal to outgoing. And by doing that, they were able to provide electricity in that city, the whole thing. And what they said was, benefit of using that was they were able to get coverage even in the remote part of the city or the town or the state, whatever it was. And it was over the air, and the connectivity was free. No one was paying for anything of it. So that was the biggest thing that we took away from this thing. So going forward.
So you talked about consumer IoT mesh networks, right? So the problem with the consumer IoT, the architecture with that is, if you connect a Raspberry Pi and a sensor attached to the Raspberry Pi, and let's say there's another Raspberry Pi, if one Raspberry Pi has to connect with the other one, if you make that connected, and if you add a third one, it has to make a connection with these. So if you add more and more and more, it's going to become very complex scenario. So as the companies need large scale, low power networks, and they want it to be flexible. So like how we do I think this as a microservice, they separated the pieces out. So they have devices on one side, they have cloud on one side, and they have another device which is called, they call it as edge gateway. This acts like a hub. Like all the sensors are actually talking to this guy, and this guy decides whether it has to go to the cloud computing, and this has little computation power. So I think they're making this more and more powerful, but today I think most of the companies are getting the sensors data and putting everything into the cloud. But so that is the idea they are achieving. So all the data sensors installed in different places, and there's one central hub where the data is going to, and the edge gateway can be also connected to another edge gateway too. So that's how the mesh network is formed. So now I think the future, most of them are concentrating on edge gateway because today the supercomputers in AWS are doing the computation power. They feel that the data need not come to this point and then decide what to do with it. So they are making, adding some computation power to the edge gateway devices. So sensors data comes in, and the edge gateway decides what to do with it. If they want to send it to the cloud, they want to send it, or they directly communicate with the devices or sensors.
Where do those live, Shashank? An edge gateway that's on a tower, or that's in a home, or that's
So
on a
it's like
street,
a thing
or
like a
where?
hub. It's like a small modem which can be installed anywhere on top of the tower, wherever we want. So let's say we install 10 sensors in this room, right? If you want the 10 sensors to talk to that edge gateway, you can place it wherever we want.
But it would be something that a consumer has to install, or?
I think the edge gate, I think so.
Okay.
So edge gateway, there are different companies who are developing this edge gateway. Dell has it, and or Qualcomm has it.
So I might go to Best Buy, buy one of those and put it in my house, and then all my devices are talking to that in my house?
Right.
Like that?
So it is different than how we are doing today, and that's how they categorize into consumer IoT and commercial IoT. And the commercial IoT or enterprise IoT are doing it this way.
Okay.
You're saying it has all the intelligence to do the computation on data, and then does it also send it to the cloud and also decide?
So
whether-
today, from what I heard from different sessions, they are currently, this does not have any computation power today. But today, it directly sends everything to the cloud, and they're using cloud infrastructure
That's what they
to
said.
make a decision.
Yes.
But they decide that that's not needed. We can easily hop over and skip one stop, make the edge gateway a little more computation, add more computation power, and then decide what to do with it.
So we saw the amount of opportunities IoT has in today's world, right? But it's not an easy thing to achieve. And here are a few reasons why it's not an easy thing to achieve. So today, regulatory bodies are really trying hard to get a standard protocol, a standard network that basically allows, like I said, horizontal segments, right, to be autonomous to any vertical industry that is trying to use it. And so I think they have been trying to go for it since past 3 years, but no, there is no solution yet. The other thing is, and this has been stressed enough, is the privacy of end user. The way the things are being deployed and the data is being used and intelligently being created, amazing things. End user is at a risk pretty much because their privacy is invaded left, right, and center. A very quick example on this was smart homes, right? You have all the data that is being collected, and all you need to apply is machine learning to say, hey, when does your coffee machine start? Or when does the light switch on in the house? And you can immediately pattern, okay, this is the time probably the adults wake up, or this is the time the kids wake up, or this is the time they come home. So anyone, if they are smart enough to get those patterns clear, they can basically rob you right out of your house. So they are trying to set heavily on the standards. The other is, again, security. Because now you're sending everything over internet, everything is hackable. There is totally chances of you, or we keep seeing all these big conglomerates saying that they have been hacked. Now imagine that increasing 10-folds, right? So they're trying to see how we can get encryptions better and make sure our data is secure. Another big point is energy efficiency. They want to make every single device, be it edge gateways or edge devices or cloud, to be energy efficient, so we are not, killing our environment at the same time. And the fourth thing, which is very important, is what are you trying to solve? You build this great, amazing ecosystems, but if you're not solving anything, it's not point putting it there. And stress enough on everything has to be open source. You cannot have things that are confidential and private that no one else can use it. So make it more open source and have well-defined APIs. And the one thing that I didn't put it here and they keep saying is, try not to build everything by yourself. Look for partners who have already built things, utilize them correctly, and then build the entire end-to-end ecosystem, is what they keep telling us now and again.
Okay, so this is what we are talking about all the from last 15 minutes. So opportunities in IoT, we have security is a very big thing. So everyone is stressing on that. And to be honest, I didn't see there's one standard way of solving it. Everyone, and it should not be, according to my opinion. Everyone is solving their security issues by their own way. So we saw edge connectivity where the devices or sensors are connecting to each other, and they're using different wireless spectrums. Like our NB-IoT also falls into the same opportunities area, and all the devices are connected using Z-Wave, NB-IoT, and other stuff. And edge gateway is the device which all the sensors or devices are connecting to. So there's an opportunity there. And edge computing is where AWS, machine learning, big data comes into the picture. So that's edge computing, and security is what we talked about.
So usually amazing opportunities, right, in IoT. But one thing I mentioned at the very earlier of my slide deck was data, right? If you don't intelligently make use of this data, you're not gaining anything, you're not solving anything, you're not basically getting into the IoT business or spectrum, right? And so this is one great example, and we were surprised to see the military actually come out and give us what exactly they have been doing using these data. So obviously they're not going to publish their slides, so this was what we took as a capture. But so one of the things on the left-hand side is, I know it's not clear enough, but we have a notes up so you can see it, is they actually build a Raspberry Pi Raspberry Pi powered, what was it called, a drone, and that was competing with a pilot driving the plane, and the AI drone did excellent or much better results than the pilot driven plane. And so they want to utilize this in places where it's not good to send human beings. And so they're like, if that works, then perfect, let's go for it. So that was one of the examples they gave us. And on the very bottom corner, so Russians actually created chatbots using the AI intelligence, and they created fake news. And guess what? The entire US market dropped because of it. All the shares plummeted down because of that one fake news. But if US military had enough intelligence to catch this first, that it was a fake news, your US share market would not have dropped it. But what Russians did, and this is the amazing thing, is they used smartness, intelligence on the data being gathered and what people were focusing on, and they created fake news to do the whole thing. And that was amazing when we saw that happening. So that was that. And there are a few more examples, but I've written that in my notes. And the other thing what military is trying to do using this AI is basically, like they created those drones, they are trying to create robots and autonomous systems that they can send to places, where they need to fight war and stuff. And obviously cybersecurity, cyber war, they're trying to provide that, because with IoT, like we said, chances of getting hacked is much more than this thing. And obviously it's always a race, right? The more intelligent information you have, you win the race. And you have power over the others. So that's what they're trying to do, is information superiority. They're trying to gain that over every other country in the world. And obviously economic superiority is by gaining that intelligence, you can make this world hopefully put less holes in the ozone layer and have less global warming. So that's what they're trying to do. So it was a very interesting session from the military that we got to attend.
Okay, so the other use case, chatbots, which is using AI platform. So I attended like 6 or 7 sessions in AI all over, and everyone were chatbots. So on the leftmost, it's a company called Mode AI, which is doing, it has a chatbot for shopping. So it's live actually in Facebook. We tried it live. So you can go shopping and it will tell you, if you search for blue jeans, it's gonna show up different vendors, blue jeans with prices and everything. Foodies.ai is Yelp. It's chatbot which does the same thing like Yelp. This one is interesting. Luna is a chatbot for behavior. So you talk with Luna, this is weird, and it will tell you what you need to do to improve your sleep behaviors. Crazy. And this was the another one. NoMail is a new application. Bill, I think you now is the company who's building it. So they're applying artificial intelligence and machine learning platform for email for mails. So it's going to detect your mails. It's going to see your mails and see which email is important for you based on your history. So they're applying AI plus machine learning into it.
It's actually pretty awesome. It saves you so much time. Like you are traveling, say from here to the airport, and you're in an Uber, and NoMail knows you have 30 minutes, so it will tell you, okay, hey Jason, there is this important mail that's coming from this. Would you like to reply to it? Would you like to postpone it? Would you like to set up a meeting? And all you have to talk to that device and say, I would like to reply to this mail. And so a reply box opens. Okay, what do you want to say? And you just talk to the thing and send. Okay, here's the next thing, or here are the 5 other meetings that are required, or something like that. And it was awesome. They literally demoed the whole thing, and it's being utilized by a lot of companies.
Yep.
So, and one thing that we should message in that fashion thingy, if you upload your photograph, you can actually see how the jeans and the t-shirts and the shirts look on you. Like literally a virtual changing room is there for that thing, and it was like amazing.
Yep.
And one of the other pain points I should mention, that Flixbot has done a lot of it, and I think it should be on that place where everyone was doing their AI out there, because Flixbot is, you have startups that have done things out there that Flixbot is already doing today. And I was very upset when I didn't.
Right.
Anyways,
Right.
that's my pain point, but let's continue back to the.
Right. So one more assist. It's a company which is building movies, Fandango. I think it's a big competitor for Flixbot maybe. It's built, so chatbots are everywhere, and I completely agree with Reema that we have built so many chatbots. At Flixbot, I built one for Hesse, which for customer service for Dish, one for Lugo. So we have so many of them, and we have experience, and I think our company should be in there too. So we all, so there are chatbots everywhere, right? So what features does the chatbot should have which will make it successful? So ultimately there are these 3. So unsupported requests. So when a user asks something and our application does not support it, what do we do with it? If you don't give any reply, it's not good. So give some sort of a reply. Say, hey, I did not find it. These are all other options you have, something like that. Missed request. So if the user is saying something and we missed it, that is pretty bad. So we cannot miss any request. We have to capture every single request and have to respond to the user some or other way, which is helpful. Misunderstood request. So if user said something and application is thinking something else, that is also not good. So we have to address these are called challenges in chatbots, and every chatbot is trying to solve these 3 problems. If these 3 problems are solved, and that means that our application is stable.
Sorry for the technical difficulties. While it's going on, Shashank and I just want to say that thank you for giving us the opportunity to attend this expo. I think it was a lot of knowledge that was gained, and we are glad we could share it with you guys. So thank you for the opportunity.
I want to tell you that CA, they have a similar thing called this email analysis, where you dump all the emails, or they look at all the emails, and they can even respond to emails with questions that were very similar. So if someone asked a question previously, and then the same question is being asked, they actually type the response, and then they ask you whether this is the response you want to send.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that NoMail didn't do that when we saw the demo. So like IoT, AI is trying to be autonomous too. So these are the platforms that you can develop your AI in. Want to just speak about one of them, the Dialogflow. It's actually a cool one, and it basically implements all the challenges, but it's a search. It's a search tool, or I don't know how do you put it, but a search device, which is a smart search, like you call it. And you speak to it, you see what you want, and it responds back with all the reasonings and intents and purposes. And you literally keep chatting with it until they have a final answer, and it's open source. You can actually contribute to it. You can use it. You can try how it works. But
Flixpert is on that.
okay, there we go. See, now more Flixpert should have been out there.
Yeah.
That just strengthens my point where I keep saying Flixpert should be there. But anyways, so those are the different platforms that you can literally develop AI in. So.
Okay, so before I jump into the blockchain, which is a controversial topic, Chirp.io is an open platform which will listen to our voice and it will detect what to do with it, actually. So I don't know how they're doing it, but it's an open source, so we can start building our apps.
Can you clarify what you mean by that? They listen to you?
It listens to our voice, and we have to obviously program that. If I say it knows that Shashank said and it means something else, So we have to train it. Based on the noise or the sound which we're making, it will make a decision.
So sounds, not words.
Not words, yes. Okay. Sound, not words. Yes, that's true. So blockchain, the disruptive technology. Look how many people. There's so many people out there in blockchain technology, and these are just took a picture because I was blown away to see so many people. Every sessions are full on blockchain, and everyone is trying to get disrupted, I guess. But I actually, just clarifying, blockchain is not Bitcoin. I think I'm really love blockchain technology, decentralizing things, and we can sharing that smart contracts in every platform is something amazing, which I think. So, who all are using blockchain technology? The leftmost part of it is a Routecoin, the company. So they already have the platform ready where I can share my Wi-Fi with my neighbor and I can get money from it. So Routecoin is already doing that using smart contracts. There's some company Ponder which does the same thing for matchmaking, I think. I don't know if I tried that. So yeah, home rental, I think we already know that blockchain technology is heavily used in the real estate. But there's one more thing which I was really fascinated to see, and one more thing I think Flixpert should go forward is this example.
What is that?
So, interactive video. And what Flixpert is doing is they're doing this, plus they have an interactive video. What that means is I'm watching a video, I can invite my father or my parent or my friends to see that video. So in this case, so she's watching a football, she invited all her friends. So these are all people are watching that video at the same time. And they can talk about it, they can chat about it, comment about it, they can do all sorts of stuff which we can do in social media. And they are using blockchain technology for doing smart contracts. So if you invite more friends or stuff like that, they get some kind of a benefit or some kind of their ICO share or whatever. So this is a big thing. I think the movie listing, what Flixpert is doing, these guys are doing the exact same thing, plus they have the interactive video on top of it. So that's that. Not sure if I'm saying everything what I want to, but yeah, this the company called Props, which is doing this. And
Shashank, but going back to that,
yep, go ahead.
Are they describing how they're using blockchain to drive that?
So I think they are using blockchain just to, so if you invite, because this is a new platform, I think what they're trying to do is if you do more and more videos, interactive videos with your friends, family, they get some, I think they did not start their ICO yet. But they have just an idea saying that, hey, if you do so much, I will get this part of the ICO. So I did not get that specifics of it. To be frank, I do not understand completely how that thing works. Maybe they told, but I did not catch it. So, but when I saw it, it blew our mind. And that's one reason I felt like, hey, Flixpert is.
Yeah, I noted these two were doing some research on how blockchain could work with Flixpert. I've had like 9 conversations. It's so complicated. It's crazy to wrap your mind around. So I'll take these 2 examples and see what we can do.
Right. So the final verdict. So the IoT, AI, and blockchain technologies can actually work together and to make a seamless ecosystem which can connect to each other and can be more efficient and make a secure world.
Should be our mission statement. Connected, more efficient, and secure.
So so there's lot many white papers which we got and more presentations and stuff. So we have captured our notes in Confluence. Please go and read them. Props, there's a white paper from Props which has the interactive video session. I believe they said something about the how they're using those ICOs and how they're using blockchain in their white paper. So everything is captured in the Confluence, and that's it.
That was it.
Sweet.
Any of you guys are
Questions?
Any of you guys are space geeks? Do you guys know about the NASA announcement today?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Which one?
It says Thursday, December 14th.
Oh, well, maybe it's something else.
So this is, so NASA hosted a media teleconference to announce the latest discovery made by its Planet Nine Kepler Space Telescope. The discovery was made by researchers using machine learning from Google. It's supposed to be a pretty big announcement. The science community is pretty ramped up for it. So it's 11, I think it's 11 because it's 1 p.m. Eastern, and NASA, .org, if you go there, there's a lot of info.
So to reiterate that, I actually attended a session from NASA, which basically uses AI to figure out when volcanoes are going to erupt and make sure that people are cleared out, or earthquakes. And they showed us, I have put it in my notes out there, and the way they literally use data from all the sensors that are out there and create patterns on it, they were able to mitigate the effects of volcano eruptions and earthquakes from a lot of places that we were not even aware of that they're happening. So it was amazing to see how they're using the seismic patterns and all that stuff and heat patterns and everything to create exactly when this is going to happen and how they can. So like I said, without implementing your learning on the data, it's gibberish. You're not going to help anyone. So that's it. Any questions?
Any questions?
If I add one more comment, when I work on watching the project from the last innovation day, when I researched that, a lot of company or organizations kind of have open competitions to the public. Hey, this is a medical. From the one example is a medical, the hospital, the open competitions. Hey, if we can provide an MRI scan for the patients, and then if you can find the machine learning model to find out the cancer from the scan, then it's kind of the open competition. So if the people who work on the machine learning and they provide a model, and then okay, you are the first prize and paid money, and then the hospital take the technology and they use their the film to analyze the patient's MRI to find out the hidden or uncatched the cancer information, and then inform the patient that hey, we detected accidentally to find that you have cancer. So it's kind of the win-win game for the patients and the hospital.
Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you for attending.
Thanks, guys.
Nick, do you stop this? What do you do?
Yeah, so stop it. You go. There you go. Okay, and then stop live. Yes.
Nick in general.